are some of my biggest what ifs when it comes to superhero movies. The timeline could be way different if a couple things change here and there, so let's talk about a few of them. I'm gonna have to start out with one that's gonna tug at some people's heartstrings. It's gonna make some people mad. I'm sorry, Snyderverse fans, but what if Man of Steel was actually received well? Snyderverse fans, I'm getting straight into it, man, because y'all got a whopping 57%. Shit looks disgusting on Rotten Tomatoes. 75%, 250,000 plus. Damn. It was not received well. I guess 75% could be worse, you feel what I'm saying? But that 57%, oof. Now, this isn't terrible, but it isn't the reception that I think that Warner Brothers was fully expecting for this movie, you feel what I'm saying? They did greenlight a sequel, but then Marvel started doing their thing, which led to Batman vs. Superman because they wanted to catch up. But what if Man of Steel was actually received well? What if, like Superman this year, Man of Steel had an 80% and a 90%? Do you think they would have rushed Batman vs. Superman? I think if Man of Steel was received well, they would have let Zack Snyder cook. I think they would have let him go through with his Superman 2 sequel, the one that he originally wanted to do, and they wouldn't have been as forced, as pressured to rush the DCEU. Now, would this still have led to a Batman vs. Superman movie down the line? I'm gonna guess so, but at least we would have got to see Henry Cavill, explore his Superman character even more. Maybe he eventually got to that more optimistic side, but we'll never know. The next one is a pretty big one that we're still feeling the ripple effects to this day. Like, who knows what it's going to look like in 10 years, you feel what I'm saying? But what if Marvel never fired James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Now, for those of you who don't know when this happened or don't know what happened, James Gunn was the director for the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, and obviously got put on for number 3. Eventually, some old tweets of his resurfaced on the internet from Twitter. I think it was from like 2008. They were like really old tweets, but they resurfaced and he was making offensive jokes, simply put. You know how Disney is. As soon as they heard word of that, as soon as they got a sniff of it, they cut him off because they cannot have any bad looks whatsoever, even though they probably have pieces of shit still running their business to this day. Which led to another company with a bunch of pieces of shit running it. DC saying, hey, James Gunn, I know you're kind of going through some allegations right now, but you trying to come direct the movie for us? They gave him the keys. They gave him the reins to the Suicide Squad. They said he can do whatever he wants with it. He wrote it. He directed it. It turned out to be a pretty good movie. It wasn't like a mega hit in the money-wise, but I mean, it came out in 2021. What were they going to do? Critically and audience-wise, everybody loves that movie. And that led into Peacemaker, which everybody loves as well. And that led to James Gunn taking over the DCU as the new co-CEO. The only way he was able to even sniff a DC movie was because all the work got halted on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So does James Gunn even take over the DC if he doesn't get fired by Marvel? I feel like this is a pretty big what if that's just going to keep growing and growing and growing as the years go past, as the DC universe grows and maybe even goes band for band and potentially overtakes Marvel. This is going to be the big moment that was the big shift. You feel what I'm saying? Would James Gunn still be directing movies with Marvel? Would he be higher up in the Marvel chain? Would somebody else be the DCU co-head? Do you feel what I'm saying? Would we still be in the DCEU? There's so many questions and more, all stemming from James Gunn getting fired for Disney. That's crazy. Number 3 is a bit of a boggled one, man, but what if Ant-Man Quantumania was a hit? What if people actually like this movie? I mean, yikes, man. 46% on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes isn't the end-all be-all, but damn, that's terrible. I guess the 81% audience isn't horrible, but let's be honest, this is not good. This is not good numbers at all. And especially knowing all the stuff that comes after with Jonathan Majors being fired after the allegations that damn near got confirmed. But Ant-Man flopping the way it did, it must have made Marvel go, should we really make Kang the end-all be-all villain for this universe? I guess not for this universe, for this phase? Obviously, the Jonathan Majors situation made it a lot easier to say hell no, but if this movie was a hit, and especially if that situation still happens, what do? Do they just recast Jonathan Majors Kang after making him all the variants? Do they still go down the route of making RDJ Doctor Doom and making that the big bad? There's so many questions that can be asked just by saying, what if this movie was good? Not even great. Just like, what if it was good? Like, what if people were actually interested and invested in what they were building with Kang? Like, do you think they would have just recasted him? I don't know. The last, we'll end on a little bit of a fun one. But what if Marvel never reacquired the rights to the Fox characters back in, I think it was 2019? I think the easiest thing we could say is Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. I don't think those would be the movies that they're planning to do anymore. Because the only reason we're getting these movies is because we can combine all the multiverses together. You feel what I'm saying? If we didn't have the Fox universe and all these other universes, I don't think there's a point in that. Also, I think there's a chance that somebody else would have just bought these characters. You feel what I'm saying? Maybe a Sony, hell, maybe Warner Brothers said, fuck it. You want these characters? You better buy them off us. Wouldn't surprise me if there was a massive, massive bidding war for the rights to the X-Men and the Fantastic Four that lasted like a year. That would have been crazy. I think the most likely option is, I think that Fox would have just gave it another chance. They would have tried to reboot it a last time. They would have gave it one more go. And then if it didn't work, hey, file for bankruptcy. Hey man, that's a list of some of my biggest what ifs of all time, man. I'm trying to know what y'all think about these what ifs in the comments down below. And if y'all want a part two, I'm gonna drop it. Simple.